For me, harvest, it's a magical time of year. There's something about harvesting, something that grows from the earth, creating an amazing product, and then enjoying it. I decided to name the oil after my mother, Domenica Fiore. My mother was an amazing cook. I grew up celebrating food with my family. That's how we celebrated life.
Our mission is better experience on food and better experience on life.
This is it, folks.
Cheers, Frank.
Cheers. We're in the province of Umbria, which is just north of Rome. Where we're sitting, it's like a frame in a painting. We couldn't have picked a more beautiful evening.
Yeah,
this is unbelievably warm tonight.
The light is beautiful, the colors of the nature, the field, magnificent.
Cesare, who's our master oil maker, is a very passionate guy. He lives and breathes making this olive oil. And when he starts to talk about the olive oil making process or the different flavors and aromas, it's like poetry.
The canino is always a very fruity and con some general taste of artichokes, really fresh cut grass, very herbaceous. We are under a beautiful tree. This is the little olivella, it's our canino.
They're really tiny, aren't they?
They're really tiny. Yeah.
How do you mix up the trees in here? We have the 5 varietals, right?
Particularly in this part of the farm, we have Leccino, Frantoio, and Moraiolo, and some caninos on the driveway. These varieties generally get ripe a little bit later than the Leccino and the Frantoio. I started in 2000, when I started to make oil just for fun. I was thinking the oil should be more fresh. It takes me almost 2-3 years. If you harvest a little bit early, we get brighter oil, fresher oil, more green, flavor is better, it's more spicy, more interesting.
I asked Cesare, what are the things that destroy the quality of olive oil? And he said, well, first and foremost is oxygen. If you leave oil open to the air, it oxidizes and it loses flavor and color very, very quickly. And I said, what else? He said, heat. Oil has to be kept cool and light. Lastly, oil is not wine. It doesn't last forever, so time is a factor. The fresher the oil, the better the oil. We pick and press within 4 hours. We nitrogen seal our tanks and our bottles, so no oxygen gets in. From the moment the oil is pressed, it is sealed. And for the light and the heat, we have stainless steel bottles. If you take an emerald and you liquefy it, that's our oil. It really is. It's just the most beautiful, brilliant green. And especially when we first press it, it's an incredible color. Our night harvest, we harvest in late September.
The novello di notte get harvested in the night. With the novello di notte, we really capture the freshness.
We ship our novello, which is our new oil, immediately to North America. It's on the shelves by November. And that's unheard of. So when you buy our olive oil, it is the freshest olive oil you're going to find on the market. Absolutely nothing comes close to it.
The oil are more oriented to being a really green, a really fresh, grassy, and a strong peppery finish.
That hillside where our current Domenica Fiore estate is, the soil was very unique. It was an ancient seabed. When you walk the property, you can still see the fossils, shells.
Find 2 little seashells, obviously. There is tons on the ground.
And so that soil is very mineral rich. We're thankfully on the side of a hill that gets sun from morning till night. It's a perfect location. It happened to be at the perfect elevation, which is about 420 meters above sea level, so you don't get the fruit flies.
We believe in organic. We don't use pesticide. We don't use any chemicals. Everything grows very natural. It's definitely a finisher oil. I will use for make nice bruschetta, obviously. I love in steaks and meat, and also in the mouth it's very fresh, very powerful this year, and with an amazing kick in the throat.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, hello, hello. Buonasera.
Tonight's a special night because we've invited a number of friends.
This is the Orvieto Classico from Antinori, Castello della Sala, San Giovanni. Very nice white wine.
I've got 2 bottles down here, so can you send the other bottles down?
It's going to change your life. Mangia, 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 mangia.
My parents were Italian, and we grew up with a Mediterranean diet. My mother was the best cook ever. That's where I got my passion from. Tonight we're going to make a rosé sauce described to me by someone locally here. I asked how the recipe was made, and I was told it's really simple. There's a local tomato, Dattorino tomato, which is a very small tomato, like a little bit bigger than a cherry tomato, and it's very sweet. Take the Dattorino tomatoes, you put them in a blender, mixed with some olive oil, generous with the olive oil. This is this year's olive oil. This was pressed this morning. Look at that color. Look how green that is. See, it starts to turn into a rosé color. Okay, now we're gonna pour. Now, all I need to do is add the salt, and then we put in the basil. I just put in a generous amount of basil, make sure it's in there, and that's it. And the idea is to just let it sit on the counter for 6 or 8 hours. Then later at night, you make your pasta, and then you put your pasta in a pan, pour the marinade over it, just warm it up. Serve it with a little bit of grated Parmesan or Pecorino cheese, and it's insanely delicious.
Who else can I give some lasagna to?
Cesare's sister made the lasagna, kind of a ragu beef, and obviously mozzarella cheese in there. The thing about lasagna, my mother used to do this very thin. She would make the pasta a day in advance, and she'd roll it by hand. She made 14 layers. You don't need a knife, you just, with a fork, to die for. We're celebrating the beginning of harvest, so this is the best time of the year. Everybody go, cheers.
Cheers!
With respect to the olive oil business, which started out more like a hobby than anything, when I made that statement, we're gonna make the best olive oil in the world, it was just me talking. And it started to become true in my mind. We're gonna make the best olive oil in the world. And thankfully, we had Cesare.
In 2013, we just won the best olive oil in the world in the international competition in New York. Somebody called me in the middle of the night and you won in New York.
It's an entire wall of awards. We keep winning and winning. And I'm talking about Tokyo, London, Jerusalem, Palermo, New York, all the international olive oil competitions. We're one of the most awarded olive oils in the world.
The years after, we won again, and other years we won many awards. I went one time in Sicily to get one Best Organic International, and sometimes in New York. For me, it was incredible.
In this business, you're tempted to do things to make it cheaper, make more of it. We've had to just not do those things. We had to just forego those decisions and just go, no, if it were just about the money, there's lots of things we could do to improve the bottom line. We just won't do it.
Domenica Fiore is located in the town Orvieto.
This medieval town has been here forever. It's stunning.
My family has been here for many generations. Orvieto is a beautiful town. It's on the plateau and is over 3,000 years of history. The city is keeping so many beautiful medieval buildings, so many art, history, and very charming. My family came from Venice at the end of the 1400s, just to restoring part of the mosaics. My grandfather was a specialist on mosaics. In our tradition, people have a nice break for lunch. In Orvieto, there is many restaurants serving great pastas. The idea is for everybody to try our pre-novello blend. The novello di notte is much more bright, open. This year, with the low yield, the incredible hot summer, the oil is really concentrated. It's light in the mouth. I like there is a little bit mintuccia. The smell mintuccia is quite close to mint. It's very aromatic and lots of fresh grass, fresh herbs, very herbaceous fresh notes of eucalypto. This is all really bright, again, go directly from the nose in the brain.
Grazie a Cesare e l'ho assaggiato e sono rimasto veramente entusiasta perché è molto elegante, diciamo che è un olio particolare che ci si abbina a molti piatti e cosa che non succede su tanti oli.
All the antioxidants in the oil and polyphenols and the fresh harvest really capture a lot, and I think this year the level is very high.
Sono la perisse Angela. Stiamo preparando l'umbrichelle per l'umbrichelli umbri.
Umbrichelli is a very typical dish from this area.
Allora cominciamo. Farina, uovo, olio poco, pizzico di sale e acqua. Con le mani tirate. Ora verranno passate con il mattarello, le tagliamo a striscioline, poi vengono tirate con le mani così. Questo è la nostra pasta umbra, fatta così a mano, raccolgono bene il sugo.
This umbrichelli is fresh. They make in the morning and we eat at lunch.
Il condimento noi abbiamo scelto un pistacchio speck, dove andiamo a unire l'Italia con il pistacchio di Bronte e lo speck altoatesino.
This is very, very soft, very nice. This is stuffed rabbit called a porchetta. It's a typical recipe of this area. It's all with potatoes and fennel inside, wild fennel. It's delicious, delicious.
We're at the Domenica Fiore estate. Tonight we have a very famous pizza maker with us. That's not me, that's Bernardo, by the way. And he's doing most of the pizza making tonight, but he's given me the opportunity to participate. And I'm about to embarrass myself. Great thing about pizza is that you can make any topping you like. Okay, so it's a version of a pizza my mother used to make. It's a Sicilian style pizza. So what I do is sauce, a little bit of sauce, un po' di aglio, a little bit of garlic, some anchovy. I use a bocconcini for this. It's a mozzarella. I always like to drizzle a little bit of olive oil on top.
Finish our week with Renato. He's an incredible pizza expert. And I think the secret of Renato is a very good making the dough. Where the dough is thin crust, very crunchy but soft.
All right, okay, shall we go enjoy it? Yeah. The two key flavors in here, besides the cheese and the tomato sauce, is the oregano and the anchovy. And you always finish it off with olive oil. And that's what gives it that very powerful flavor that I grew up with. So there's a farm nearby, it's just up the hill here. It's a goat farm, and they make every type of goat cheese you can imagine, and it's fresh. It's freshly made every day. If you've never tasted fresh goat cheese made that day, it's a completely different experience. Last night with that beautiful dinner with all those great dishes from local ingredients, including the olive oil, and it was pizza. It's great. Cheers! Thanks for coming, everybody.